Welcome back to the Foul Trouble Podcast. Today, it's a little bit of grab bag of everything. Patrick and I are just going purely off vibes. This is our most unplanned episode of the year, probably. We're going to talk about the in-season tournament. Is it kind of working? Is it what it's all cracked up to be? So, the Emirates NBA Season Cup. Let's get into Foul Trouble.
Yes,
How you doing,
put
Pat?
some respect on the Emirates NBA Cup. I'm doing pretty good, James. How are you doing? I can't believe how late in the year it already is. I mean, I can and I can't, but December 11th seems we're getting dire. It's almost 26.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I was telling my girlfriend this morning, I have some sort of illness, but it's like got to be the most mild illness you can possibly have. Like, it's like just enough to
Yeah.
make me feel like I have something, but it's like there's nothing to it. So definitely feeling a little
hmm
off today. Feeling better than the games were last night though.
My God, dude. That was I mean, I can't say I was shocked at the results, especially in the Suns game. But yeah, it, like some ugly basketball, but also some I don't know, interesting things will happen down the line because of it, I think.
What do you mean? Where are you going with that?
I'm just okay. So here's how I'm basically feeling with the in-season tournament right now. So this is year 3, right? And I think there was a lot of confusion year 1, um, but I think it was interesting, especially once we got to the championship round with the Lakers. But the Pacers, like, we've come to find out who the Pacers are, or who the Tyrese Halliburton Pacers are. But definitely at the time, it was at least for me, it was a little bit of like a disappointment to have them in there, because I think you imagine this as like the first, like you imagine the in-season tournament as like the first big stage where like championship hopefuls will go at it. Then we fast forward to next year. I think OKC, obviously they were, I think people were coming around to the fact that they're like a championship hopeful at the in-season tournament last year, but I think it was pretty clear that the Bucks were on the outside looking in of that real like championship contender status. And now this year we have obviously the Knicks and the Magic, two teams in the Eastern Conference that I think everyone, at least definitely with the Knicks, maybe a little bit less there for the Magic, but everybody like kind of agrees that they're in that or near that top tier of the East. And then we've got this just absolutely historic Thunder team in the West that is just buzzsawing through the in-season tournament. And we've got the Spurs, which they might be getting Wemby back for this next semifinal game, setting up something that I think the NBA has been trying to set up for a really long time, which there is some actual juice to it, but like a, kind of grudge match, like baby rivalry between OKC and San Antonio. And I think it's just priming the stage for what I'm hoping is a real finals preview in a Knicks Thunder in season tournament. Like that, I think is the best case scenario for the in season tournament. Unfortunately, to get there, we had to go through last night.
Yeah, I feel like the more now that we've had 3 years of this, like I feel like the first year everyone was paying attention to the regular season in season tournament games more, and I feel like now that we're on like year 3 of it, I'm realizing like does it just feel random, the like regular season aspect of it? Like I just like I don't know. I know the Raptors were pretty hot during these selection of games, but the Raptors have like totally fallen off and come back to earth. Um, and like the Houston Rockets are one of the best teams in the NBA. They're not represented here. The Nuggets aren't represented here. It's like, and I'm looking, and it'll be a team like the Denver Nuggets. They went 2-2 in their cup games, but on the season they are 17-6. So it's just I don't know. It just feels almost like weirdly random, the cup games. And also I feel like it's still weird that it's year 3 of the cup games and the courts still have slipping issues. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean,
I'm at this point where I don't know if the cup is like a net positive or a negative. It's just still feels kind of just random. And I think as a Suns fan, you brought up a good point, which is in a way it can oddly punish a team like Phoenix who finds themselves as like a 6-7 seed because you added a fifth game against OKC. Now, obviously, you don't go into every NBA game with the assumption, oh, we're going to lose, they're the higher seed. But it is, I don't know. I think it does mess with the regular season structuring a little weird, especially playing certain teams 5 games. I mean, in the Western Conference, 2 of the top 3 teams of the standings aren't represented. In the Eastern Conference, the Pistons are 19-5, and their record was a lot better before this past 2 weeks. They were like a 2-loss team, yet somehow they completely missed the in-season tournament. So I don't know. I just find it weird. It feels like the best teams aren't even represented in this tournament a lot, and it's just random.
I wish there was a way, because I can't remember what the criteria is for the groups that they create, but they create all the groups in the preseason and announce them at Summer League. And it does feel to me like I have 2 kind of yearnings for the in-season tournament. One, I kind of wish it happened later in the year, just a little bit later in the year. Like, I think it could maybe be cool to make it like a culminating thing on even Christmas. I know that's like a little bit risky, but I mean, you don't have to give your whole Christmas slate away to the in-season tournament. But imagine 2 weeks before Christmas, it's like you find out who the like Christmas in-season tournament championship matchup is. That's an announcement moment for the NBA. And then on Christmas, you have the game. There's some I don't know.
That's a great idea.
There's some danger in Christmas matchups in general. Like, there's some years where it's just like, you imagine that the 76ers are going to be really good with Al Horford, and then it doesn't happen and they're playing on Christmas anyways. So it's like, yeah, there's risk in letting teams play into a Christmas matchup, but I think there's also like a lot of upside. And then, yeah, the other thing is just like, how can you like insulate those regular season games a little bit more and make them feel a little bit more special? I think it was even worse this year, to be honest, because you look at the teams in the knockout round. It's like the Magic, they've been playing for the most part without Paolo and Franz Wagner. Like, they're swapping out times where they actually are playing in this. Tyler Hero missed a lot of time for the Heat. The Knicks, at least early on in the in-season tournament, they were struggling with some injuries. The Raptors didn't have RJ Barrett. Like, that's one of their primary players. I know he's not as much of a superstar. The Suns, no Jalen Green, no Devin Booker. Even the Thunder, who were incredible last night, they didn't have Jalen Williams for a lot of the early in-season tournament, and then they were playing without Hartenstein. And then the Spurs without Wemby. I think that probably had a lot to do with why the group round felt so uneventful.
Yeah, I do think the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm feeling there should be no conferences for this thing.
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to make it feel even more special.
I just feel like, weirdly enough, conferencing, this is going to sound kind of dumb with how much better the West is in the NBA over the last 20 years, but it does the East teams an advantage. They travel less to play with each other. West teams have to travel a lot further to play each other, and I feel like it would help the NBA create more balanced brackets, because some of these Western brackets will be like Denver, Houston, who was in this one? Denver, Houston, and Spurs are all in the same bracket. It's just like, I don't know, if we could just spread out the top teams, I think that might be a little better,
Yeah, no, absolutely. How are you? The one other thing that I feel like we might be kind of covering this maybe a week or two too early is I'm wondering how, if the Thunder run the table on this thing, which it's looking more and more likely that they will, does that in itself become a little bit more of a moment and give it a little bit more value?
I mean, I do think if they set a wins record, win the in-season tournament, and win the NBA championship, we will definitely. It'll be just another thing we look back on and just add it on, just to be like that team was so ridiculous. Like it's insane how good they were.
Yeah, 24-1. We haven't even said like the magic number yet, but they have officially tied the Warriors, the 2016 Warriors, with the best start in NBA history after 25 games. James, where were you in 2015 when the Warriors were lighting the world on fire?
I was in college. I was in college. I was very much enjoying that season. That was arguably the best season I think of NBA basketball I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Kobe year. Obviously, the finals are like probably the greatest finals of our lifetime, with a hat tip to
Yeah.
the Spurs Heat. But yeah. But I guess I'm more saying like, does this? I feel like it feels the same so far in a weird way. There's no Steph Curry buzz that might be like the single difference, but I feel like the dominance, it is very like recognizable in a weird way to that season.
I feel like it's harder to comprehend because this team, I feel like that Warriors team, it kind of really felt like you had Steph Curry at his peak, but you also had like Klay Thompson, and they had this. I feel like they had this shooting advantage with those two guys that was very like stand out, and I feel like with this OKC team, it's like their defense stands out so much, and I feel like defense is like a shared trait among every team to varying levels, obviously. So I feel like people don't really see how special the defense is because it doesn't pop the same way. But I also feel like people just don't seem to grasp just like how good Shea is.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna try to lead us into next. I feel like in my personal MVP rankings, I think this is the first time this season where I felt like it's getting more and more undeniable that I think Shea needs to be like at the front of this conversation.
Yeah,
Because
I don't know. I was driving home the other day and I was like, how can you like Jokic is what he's doing is just completely unbelievable. I don't know. It just feels wrong. I think it almost feels weirdly wrong. We're gonna look back at this era of the NBA and be like, wow, Jokic only has 3 MVPs and Shea only has 3 MVPs or something like that, and it'll be like, but they played at the same time. Like, they can only accumulate so many if they don't magically tie, which the odds are so small of tying. But like truly, like these are two of the best offensive players. I mean, in Shea, it's not just offense. And I mean, Jokic either. Jokic is at this point a plus defender, but like I think Shea's like an incredible defender on top of everything he's doing on offense.
absolutely, yeah. I forget how like well sized Shea is and how like easy it like you just can't switch on to him and expect anything more than a battle. But I don't know that for me, and I mean I'm sure for you too. Like the story with Shea is still just his offense is so automatic at this point that it just I made a TikTok the other day where I was saying like more and more Shea is reminding me of like the him being like the Tim Duncan of guards in this era, because Tim Duncan was almost so nonchalant in the way that he almost could completely control like his team's destiny and the league in a era where power forward was like the position, the vast majority of, or not the vast majority, but I would say the majority of like hyper elite players at the time were in that power forward position, and yet Tim Duncan kind of hovered above it. And I'm starting to see similarities of like Shea is in this era where it's like the primary ball handler, lead initiator. This is like the greatest era for that in history. And Shea is just starting to kind of, with his nonchalantness and like extreme effectiveness, hover above that conversation in a way that I'm like, we can't take this for granted because whenever they turn to him, he answers.
But what I think is so crazy about Shea, and this is why, and you know, he plays for OKC, right? It's just like I think it's really just that. If this guy played on the Lakers or the Knicks, he'd be the biggest star in the NBA. I think what it is, but what blows my mind about Shea is like I feel like usually the type of player you're talking about, like the Tim Duncan of guards, it's like not flashy buckets, fundamentals, easy. Dude, I think Shea's broken more ankles than any NBA player I've ever watched. Like I think I've seen more ankle breakers from 7 years of Shea than I've seen in Kyrie's whole career at this point. Like I'm not even gonna lie, this guy is snapping like 2 ankles, creating 8 feet of separation on his mid ranges like 5 times a game. Patrick, he's shooting 56% overall and 45% from three. I mean, he's to play. I think that's the thing that I find ridiculous is guards who tend to have these really flashy ankle breaking dribbles tend to not be these hyper efficient killers. But Shea is all the flash of a Kyrie Irving, but with the efficiency of like a Tim Duncan. And I think that's what is kind of like a testament to is like this might sound hyperbolic. Is he like the most skilled all around scoring guard ever?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's putting himself in the
that
conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, just everything that you said, yeah, the efficiency is really crazy. 56 from the field, 45 from three. And I just feel like his assertiveness, too, in the way that he scores, I feel like whenever, like, the shot clock gets underneath, 12, it's like, just get the ball to Shea, he'll put it up, and it will go in every single time. And I don't know, like with those Warriors teams, I feel like I want to keep going back to it. Part of like what makes Steph amazing and what made those early like pre-KD Warriors teams so crazy is like I think when you watch Steph, you watch him really work. It seems like it's hard. It doesn't seem like it's easy. It seems like his superpower is the fact that he can outrun everybody, is the fact that he's going to work the extra mile to get open and to get the ball. And he might just have to like pop it up so quickly that there's no chance that it goes in, and it goes in every time. That's the like amazing thing about Steph. And I just feel like Shea is so like smooth and methodical and strong. It couldn't be more different from that, which I think is another reason why I don't think Shea has gotten his like full flowers yet. Even though, I mean, this is a dude that won MVP, already has won finals under his belt, but it's starting to feel more Michael Jordan-y for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like me and you doing this podcast have gotten ahead of ourselves a little bit. Like, I definitely think we kind of pre-crowned the Nuggets as like, how is anyone going to beat this team with Jokic? The Celtics, when they won, we were a little like, oh my God, this 5-out spacing of the Celtics team is unreal. But I mean, personally, despite everything Shea's doing, I still kind of think Jokic is the best player in the world, which I just think is how crazy Jokic is. But I mean, Shea is either tied with him or the smallest notch behind him at this point, because it's just like his isolation scoring is just so dominant to a level like, quite frankly, I don't think we've ever really seen. Just like how unguardable he is in these one-on-one situations from the perimeter. And it's just like his passing is at a level where he knows when he draws defenders where to move the ball. So he doesn't need to be this telepathic passer because he's just creating so much gravitational pull with his driving ability. I mean, he's averaging a career high in assists right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like the 2015, 2016 comps abound because like the forgotten team that year was that Kawhi Leonard Spurs team that was like, one of the best teams in Spurs history. And when you look at the Nuggets right now in the Western Conference, they're 17-6, which is the best start in their franchise's history. And like you said, like, I mean, I still would agree with you that Jokic is the best player in the league right now. I just don't, I mean, it's just hard to like, what is value and like what kind of value should be awarded in like an MVP situation.
I think what's really interesting to me with Shea was 2 years ago we spent a long time talking about like Shea versus Luca, and I felt like 2 years ago Luca easily kind of had the edge. They had like very similar isolation stats, and but you know what's crazy? Luca and Shea actually have very similar isolation stats this year in terms of numbers of isolations and efficiency per isolation. But I just think there's something about Shea's like downward rim pressure that's kind of really elevating him a little bit more this season.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, to Luca's credit, I think that's something that like people want to see from Luca and demand from Luca a little bit more than they demand from Shea, just because of like what the guys are known for. But at the same time, like yeah, Shea is not working with kind of the loaded hand that Luca is from like a weight and size perspective when you're talking about driving, which I think makes Shea's evolution. And I mean, he's just like can get to the line whenever he wants. It's a little bit more impressive. But yeah, I mean, what a way to highlight defense and like the value of defense when you compare Luca and Shea, because like really offensively the guys that I don't think it gets like much more even. Both guys are just kind of crack cheat codes, but one like kind of makes a team concept work on defense, and the other one is like the whole question mark of the Lakers season is like, how do we make all of these like question marks work around Luca and with Luca?
Can I give you some can I give you some Jokic numbers just so we can contextualize despite all the Shea love we've just given, and you know, saying Luka's averaging the same amount of ISOs and points per ISO that Shea is this year, like why Jokic is shooting 60% overall, 40% from three. Patrick, fewest shot attempts of the last 3 years, still averaging 29 points, career high 11 assists, and he's leading the league in rebounding.
That's absolutely.
I just mean like he's just insane, and I think it's just the way we kind of talk about perimeter players versus bigs. Is like on an isolation perspective, Jokic is still probably the toughest one-on-one cover of any big.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and like I mean, you look at the last 2 weeks, Denver's offense has a better rating than Oklahoma City's offense. Like, and I think that should be seen as more of like a pro for Denver than a slight towards Oklahoma City, because
Yeah.
Oklahoma City has obviously been amazing on offense, but you know, the Nuggets have one of the greatest players of all time who I still believe his pure size gives him like a certain value point that any guard will never be able to achieve. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think it's a good time to be an NBA fan. And I feel like kind of the general vibe isn't that for regular NBA fans.
I feel like it is hard to. I mean, it's plainly obvious that being playing offense is a lot easier in today's NBA. Like teams have figured a lot of things out, and so it is really easy to say like guys now are the best they've ever been, which I think is true. I think that is literally a part of why offense is better. I think the players are better. But basketball has this weird effect, obviously, where the better your teammates are, the lot easier it is for you to play offense. So I think that's just the thing is like, but the thing is, I just like, if I'm trying to picture Shea, 10 years ago, I just don't see why he couldn't do some of these things. The spacing would be worse, for sure. I think it would sap some of his efficiency, for sure. But I still think he would just be this absolutely dominant scoring guard, like a top of the league guard in any era. So I don't know. I just keep going back to like you never see Jamal Crawford, Kyrie Irving type guards like this just have this level of efficiency. You just don't see it with that type of isolation type of creation.
Who did you pick for your MVP pick preseason?
Jokic.
Jokic. Okay, so did I. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. How much I guess maybe this is a good place to pivot of like how much should like overall team wins, if we're in the top 25% of the league, factor into an individual award like that?
I don't know. I think for me, the more like nitty gritty I get, the more I'm looking at like does the team fall apart when you're not out there and you're still leading them to 60 wins? Like that to me is very MVP-esque more than your team is just flat out dominant when you're playing, but your team probably is like a 45 win team without you too, and it's like it's kind of sucks because you don't want to penalize somebody for playing for a good team, but I do think you kind of have to weigh that and be like value wise, I think a guy like I don't know, I think that's why to me MVP it's kind of hard to come from a one seed when I really get down into the numbers a lot of the time because I just feel like usually the award is not the best player, it's the most valuable player. So I don't know. I don't even know how to parse it. I just feel like it's a weird award. I almost feel like we need to like break it up in this new era.
Yeah, more of like an NFL model. Maybe not offensive and defensive MVPs, but like splitting it up in some way like they have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe like a most valuable. I mean, what if each? I mean, it wouldn't solve the problem this time, but a per conference MVP. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I mean
yeah,
maybe the real issue is we just value MVPs too much.
I mean, that is definitely true. that that is definitely true. But it's so fun, and I mean, I don't know. In the NBA, I'll say at the same time we probably value MVP too much, but also in the NBA, I think MVP should be like the most like hallowed award when compared to almost every other sport, just because one single player can have so much like of an outsized influence on how a team does and like what a team's overall like wins are by the end of the season.
I guess my question is like let's say Jokic, let's say the Thunder come back down to earth a little bit. Shea is still this scoring dynamo, and maybe some other guys ascend, and maybe OKC wins 2 or 3 titles during the time, but Shea only has 1 MVP, and we're never. No one would look back at it and be like Steve Nash was a better player than Shea, but it would be really weird to look back and be like Steve Nash has twice as many MVPs as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like MVP, the more I watch, the more I feel like MVP really is just a reflection of did the best player play during an era when there was other all-time greats.
Yeah. I mean it definitely informs like the answer to that question. But I also feel like it's like how did a superstar perform relative to expectations over the course of like a regular season? Which like maybe that's not the best way to view it, but also it's like, it's hard to contextualize it because it doesn't have the playoffs factored in at all. And we are still living in a basketball culture where we value what players do in that, 10% of an NBA season more than the other 90% of the NBA season. And so that makes it feel icky as well, because it's like, look at all this data that we're saying is the most valuable data that we are not putting into the most hallowed award in the sport.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, has Jokic missed time this year?
No, he's not. And he has had a lot of teammates miss time this year.
Yeah. He's he's crazy. Yeah, I don't even know where we're going with this, but yeah. So Thunder, you think are going to win the in-season tournament?
I think so. I mean, I would love to see the Knicks. Oh, okay. Think about this. So the in-season tournament, the final game is the only game in the IST that doesn't count for your record. Imagine if it's Knicks Thunder and the Knicks knock off the Thunder in that game, but it doesn't affect their record. How crazy would that be?
That would be crazy. It would also probably have a lot of people leaving asterisks if the Thunder break the wins record by like 1 win, which would be kind of obnoxious. Also, the Knicks, I feel like kind of talking about like early season perceptions warping the way you feel about teams and not really realizing how the league catches up is the Knicks are quietly like getting close to like a 10-point differential per game. It's just been kind of
Yeah,
going up
they have
game
been
after
really,
game.
I mean, the last 2 weeks they have the third rated offense in the league and the ninth rated defense and the second best overall point differential. They're definitely like starting to feel themselves out. But now I'm like, are you finding your stride just to go and try and acquire a Giannis that is forcing his way to New York?
I saw that Giannis just bought a multifamily property in Brooklyn.
Giannis to the Nets?
Yeah, the Nets are only like 3.5 games back from the Bucks right now for the 10 seed.
God, that's embarrassing. It is. It is. I know. Yeah. Oh, those early season, another team that like we thought might be something or thought one way of in the early season, the Chicago Bulls, losers of 7 straight games, 2-8 in their last 10, and they have losses to the Pacers. They have actually 2 losses to the Pacers. They have a loss to the Nets. They have a loss to the Warriors without Steph or Draymond. They have a loss to the Hornets, the Pelicans. They beat the Wizards by 1 point. I'm like, I don't know. The Chicago Bulls, they got to blow it up.
Yeah.
They
Hey,
gotta-
one last thing before we get the hot streak shooting slump. I have to ask because I'm curious. If we had added, for those of you who listened to last week's episode, we did like a trade value kind of tier list of sorts. If we added Garland and Jared Allen to that list, where are you factoring them in?
It's interesting. Jared Allen is an interesting person to put with all the people that we talked about because I think inherently Allen has like a way lower ceiling than anybody that we talked
but
about.
like a way higher floor than a lot of those like LaMelo Trey types.
And then he has like the most palatable contract by far of any of the guys that we talked about because I think he only makes like 20 million a year. So I would probably I want to pull up his exact contract before
And then how would
like,
you
commit to
rate
this.
Garland with all the injuries Garland's kind of accumulated?
Yeah, so Garland is on a $39 million a year contract with 2 more years left. And then Jared Allen is making $20 million a year with 3 years left. But I think his contract escalates after this year. So, I mean, I would probably put Garland right next to Trey. I think they've probably shown like about the same. I mean, I think Trey has shown us a little bit more as like a true number one option than Garland has shown, but I can't imagine any scenario he would be traded into. He would find himself as like that true number one option. And then Allen, I mean, I would definitely be interested in trading for Jared Allen if I was a team that needed like a true center, but I would not trade like a massive haul for him.
Yeah, Garland's interesting. You know, I have a team he might be good for if he can show he can be healthy. Patrick, this team I think is going to make the playoffs and I think is going to shock people. I've watched like 2 of their games lately. Dallas is looking kind of nice.
Okay.
They're 5-5
Okay.
in their last 10. They finally have guard play with like this Nemhard. They have like I forgot the other guard's name, but I'm watching them. Cooper's starting to figure it out a little bit better. He's getting a lot better at drawing fouls. I don't know. They're kind of like they're big. Like they hung with OKC for like 3 quarters the other day.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't get in there, and they're at least an elite team on one side of the ball, which is something that none of the other teams in the like lower half of the West can say. They're still 9th in defense on the entire season, 30th on offense, but we can write that off. They've been 9th on offense for the last 2 weeks.
I've been watching.
Which is pretty good.
They're kind of a fun watch now. Like Cooper still isn't have a really enough space to be the best version of himself, but like they're kind of I don't know, man. They're kind of fun to watch now. It feels like there's more going on now.
Yeah. I mean, and that coupled with like Portland kind of falling apart recently. It's right there for them. They're only half game back of Portland for the 10th seed, and then it's like it's all on you. You have all the opportunity. Will you take it? Do you actually want to make the playoffs? Is probably a real question for their front office. Their now Nico-less front office. How about the Boston Celtics, number 3 team in the East, 15-9, 8-2 in their last 10.
I'm mad. I was like weirdly high on Boston early offseason. I don't know if we said it on pod or it was just me and you chatting. And then people kept talking me out of them, and I was like, I don't know, man. I just feel like they're still good.
I mean, the thing about Boston that I think...
I didn't expect Jaylen Brown to play this well.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown's played really well, but I think they've just gotten really good, like better than expected minutes out of the bigs on their roster. Like that was the big question mark. And Keita has just been really good. And then everybody else has kind of just been able to fill in. But so how high do you have to be in the standings to bring back Jason Tatum?
You don't bring him back.
You don't bring him back?
No,
what if you're the 3 seed and you're looking at a round 1 matchup against the Heat?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if the first thing I want to do if Jason Tatum comes back and you feel like you have a winnable matchup against the Heat is play him against a team that's playing at like the fastest pace in the league by like a mile.
Yeah, but they're your rivals.
And Patrick, let's say they're 6-3 versus Detroit, and they're 6 and Detroit's 3. Like, I don't know if I want Jason Tatum going against Detroit first thing.
Yeah. No, I mean it's definitely fair. Even like, what about like does your answer change if you get deeper in the playoffs? Like, if you can bring him back round 2.
Here's the thing that would really worry me if his timetable for returning is right around playoff time is you have to now figure out how the whole shot distribution dynamic is going to rework.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think it's going to be really easy for Jaylen Brown to spend, let's say, 74 games being used to like on-ball, initiator, doing a lot more to now... Hey, you're kind of the 1A guy for the first 3 games. Now for the 4th game, you and Tatum are kind of at the same level. And by game 8, Tatum's now taking a lot of your shots, and you're now relegated to playing off the ball. I just feel like that's going to be a really hard dynamic that could mess with them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, the Celtics are a really interesting team to watch, though, in the trade deadline area, because they got that Simons contract, $27 million expiring. They have a bunch of picks that like are tradable still. They've got their 2026 first, their 2027 first, 30, 31, 32. So I'm like, I don't know. You can make a move for, I mean, actually, you talked about Jared Allen. That would be low-key the perfect guy for them to try and go get.
I think if Tatum is magically ready to go with like 20 games left in the regular season, I don't know. That would be like, I don't know. Maybe then. I just feel like you can't bring him back if there's not time to really reintegrate him and get the team used to him playing again.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the argument, I do kind of agree with you. It just freaks me out in general, a guy coming back from an injury like that so quick. But it is kind of the same team, you know, like other than Simons and like the young guys, you know, I don't know how much adjustment time Jaylen Brown needs to play with Jason Tatum, Derek White, even Hauser, Pritchard, like those guys that are going to be doing the bulk of the, you know, playing the playoff minutes. They do have a lot of experience playing with Jason Tatum. So you could maybe like shrink that timeline down a little bit due to that.
Has there been an update on Tatum that prompted this? Or
the last thing that I saw, like I think last week, videos of him playing 1-on-1. But I mean, everything that Jason Tatum has said publicly has all just been like, I'll be back. I'm coming. Which I like he is an athlete, and I feel like you do have to like take what an athlete says with a grain of salt, especially when they're coming back from an injury. But
When they're coming back
I don't
from
know. It's definitely
the injury.
the injury. It's a storyline. It's a storyline for the second half of the year for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Before Hot Streak's shooting slump, do you have any Laker takes, or I don't need to torture you if you don't.
No, I just think there are games where sometimes there'll be like a, part of the game where their size is completely overwhelming to the other teams, and then there are games and stretches of games like last night where the other team's speed and athleticism just creates absolute havoc for the Lakers. And I just don't think their defense is good enough. They allow way too many open threes. Like, this is the stat that kind of blows my mind. Again, keeping it really simple today. Lakers only have a 1.5 point differential at 17-7. Like, the Warriors are 13-12 and they have a better point differential. The Spurs have the same record and have 3 times the point differential.
It kind of surprises me how like affected they are by physicality and like you said, athleticism, because they are so electric in moments. And then I think I quoted Windhorst last episode, but I think it's just such a good way to describe this team. It seems sometimes like when there is an aggressor team, like we saw from the Suns, like we saw even from the Spurs last night, seems like they've got parachutes tied to their back because there's such zip on the offense, and it just doesn't appear in transition play for them, weirdly.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say, and it's not like a critique of Luka per se, because he's been so good, but having watched a lot of Laker games, like, he is having a lot of first quarters, Patrick, with like 20 points, which is like great. He's awesome. He's not even I would say he's chucky. He's making, but it is one of those things where it's like he's been so good that they do look lost a lot of the time when he's not out there. And I know Reeves has been great, but like sometimes their offense, I feel like, is really propped up by Luka pump fakes. The guy doesn't fall for it, and Luka's like, I'm going to shoot it anyway, and I'm going to make it. And then it's like, you guys scored 3 points, but the way you got those 3 points compared to how San Antonio is about to spring a guy wide open in the corner is a little disturbing. Like, I feel like they're overly propped up by Luka's dominance right now. Like, I don't know if it's a good sign he's averaging like 20. He's having this many 20-point first quarters.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that yesterday. And I do think a thing to watch is, not only has Luka been so good, Austin Reeves has been really, really good too. And I think LeBron's been okay.
Did you see that dunk?
In spots. Yeah, I saw that. That dunk
Dude,
was amazing.
My jaw hit the floor. I can't believe he did that.
The
at 40.
scream.
Yeah.
It was so good. I was thinking like old LeBron reminds me of like, and this is going to sound really weird, but he reminds me of like Jason Tatum at his most frustrating. It's like when Jason Tatum is just relying on like step back jumpers, but every once in a while he'll like do like a crazy step through dunk. But like that really frustrating version of Jason Tatum, I feel like is LeBron at 41 or whatever. But the stat I was going to say, can you guess Luka's usage rate right now?
Dude, having watched, I'm going to guess it's like around 40 or north of 40.
It's 38. And it's
really
just
high.
With the ball handlers on this team, I wonder if they're like getting the most out of this crazy offense that they have when Luka has a 38% usage rate. I wonder if you get that down around, I don't know, 32, 34, 35. Can it be a little bit more random, their offense, in a good way?
Like this might sound weird, and I kind of want to see them experiment with, they stagger it so Luka gets minutes by himself, and then Reeves and LeBron are typically playing together. I feel like I kind of almost want to see Luka and LeBron play together more and let Reeves have his moment, because I do feel like sometimes Reeves is almost like a little too differential to LeBron, and it's not like LeBron is like demanding of the ball, but it does feel like Reeves is a little like, I am the third banana and I will operate as such, and it's like, Dude, it doesn't even look like LeBron wants you to operate that way. Like, go be aggressive.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a great call. I mean, it's got to be hard for Austin. Like, imagine not being deferential to Luka
LeBron
Doncic
James.
and LeBron James.
um, yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I did the other weird other quirk with them. Aiton is incredible. I'm curious what you think of as a Sun fan. Aiton is like incredible when the other guy's center is like 6'10", and he can just get that little 5-foot hook to go. Because when the defender's a little too short, Aiton is automatic. It's his touch is amazing. When it's Luke Cornett, the Lakers are like not on defense, but on offense are weirdly better when they have like Jackson Hayes being bouncy for lobs. I feel like than they do Aiton, because Aiton's so comfortable taking that little hook shot, and then he looks a little confused when it's not working, and it's always just because the guy, it's like the bigger defenders seem to throw him off.
Yes, like yes. That is classic DA. And I mean, I think you look at DA, you look at the story of DA's career, I think it is very reflective of the Lakers and their kind of struggles early in the season that, to their credit, have not really reared their head in a real way so far, because they've been able to like close these games so well. But yeah, when the going gets tough for Da, I think he's scratching his head of like what's going on quicker than just like getting through them.
Yeah.
But God bless him. He's played well. I'm actually
He's
pretty
been
proud
he's
of
been
him.
very good overall. Like he's been a great pickup. I still think the Lakers need another big though.
Yeah.
They need
yeah.
a change
And
of big bad.
I do think it could be interesting to try and find a true big to play next to DA for certain lineups, because like you harp on it a lot, and I really like the point of like the Lakers are gigantic and they can play gigantic. Can you, and when you have at least two scores, LeBron can be like this too, but two scores that like kind of regardless of the coverages can be effective, why not lean a little bit more towards defense? DA stretches the floor to a certain extent with that free throw line jumper that he loves to go to so much. Like, can you find like some kind of energy big that can play next to DA? I mean, I guess the idea of like a Jared Vanderbilt type guy, but someone who can survive a little bit more on offense.
See, I wonder with the Lakers though, because I feel like there's just this thing, and you see it in the broadcast, like they need to get more athletic. They need to get more athletic, and like a lot of Laker fans are like, we need to trade for Herb Jones. I'm just like, Herb Jones doesn't shoot the ball that well. Like, is the better option for the Lakers, instead of trying to plug up the holes and be a team that they're clearly not? Is it better for them to just be this big, slow team and just embrace being big and powerful and dealing with the fact that they're slow?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point.
Because it's
And
not
yeah,
like
I
this,
mean,
I don't. It just feels like there are times where it's like, guys, like, why are you shooting so many threes? Like, you are huge. Like, why don't we run a post up for Luka? He's awesome in the post.
and when you get to the playoffs, it's just gonna slow down even more. So like, why, lean towards a method for success for the regular season when you know that that's just probably not your path to victory in the
And
postseason?
it's almost like, you remember we were talking about Desmond Bain to the Magic. I was like, it's great you added the shooter, but you need to add two for it to really take hold and really add effect. Like, if you add one Herb Jones, I don't think that's going to fix these plays where the other team swings the ball 4 times and there's a guy wide open. Like, maybe if you add two of him, but then you're playing Marcus Smart and Herb Jones out there, like, I think teams are going to be happy to play off those guys in the playoffs.
I I do want to say something about, I'm like constantly like listening to like team specific podcasts and like looking at, you look at the Reddit pages for teams all the time, and I always see Herb Jones and Trey Murphy on all of these like trade target lists. Why are the Pelicans trading these guys? Like, They're on. I don't think they're going to, and they're on great contracts with years left, and they don't have their pick.
Can I go spin zone on you, Patrick?
Spin me.
You're saying, like, why would they trade him? The
Yeah.
Pelicans are horrible. Are these guys even contributing to winning basketball? Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I like Trey, but dude, half the time I watch Pelicans games, he's just chucking threes with like 19 seconds in the shot clock with a guy near him. Like, he's not running offense a lot. Like, these are not perfect players. There's a reason the Pelicans are so bad.
No, they're not. But there's like about 3 players above each of 3 to 5 players above each of them on the Pelicans cap sheet that I think the Pelicans could try and move off first to give them like a role that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. Pelicans,
you sad. Hey, at least you have Derek Queen.
This is why I think I'm mad at Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, is because every year I go into these regular seasons being like, well, they have Trey Murphy, they have Herb Jones, they're tall, they're athletic, Herb's a great defender, Trey's a great spacer, he's kind of like a little Porter-esque where he can just shoot over guys, and they just don't win, and I just feel a little maybe jaded by those two. Maybe that's why I'm feeling so pessimistic.
Yeah, it is very like PJ Washington and Miles Bridges vibes from like the Hornets a couple years ago. I mean, I guess Miles Bridges is still on the Hornets, but hey, maybe that's that. I feel like Miles Bridges is going to get traded this year, and terrible person, but could be like a huge piece for someone.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Hornets games by like watching the games. I've done a lot of box score watching. I mean, Gamecast is when you're just watching the little ESPN ticker.
Gamecast, love a Gamecast watch.
I just feel like they need.
What's the best Gamecast sport?
Oh, dude, I don't know. The problem with basketball is when there's a stoppage, you're just like, is it lagging? It never, like, ESPN doesn't tell you when there's a stoppage. I've been game casting a lot. I don't know if that counts as box score watching, but I've been game casting a lot. And when I game cast these Hornets games, his name comes up a lot.
Yeah. I feel the same way with football, though, of like when there's like a timeout or something, I'm like, there's no way this timeout is going this long, because it will always go like a couple of minutes after the timeout, and then it will just like rattle through with like first, second, and third down really quickly.
No, yeah.
This is such a 21st century sports follower discussion.
Yeah, can you guys comment? Are you gamecasters? If you gamecast, which website do you like to gamecast from? I feel like ESPN has been kind of letting me down with the lack of information I get a lot of the time.
I'm just so used to ESPN, which is the
I know.
problem.
But maybe like, what if CBS Sports is just killing it and we don't know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, please comment below. Okay, I think it's time for the part of the episode where we talk about our last 7 days and decide whether we are on a hot streak or we are on a shooting slump. Welcome to Hot Streak or Shooting Slump. James, I know that you are having a big week at your casa. Are you on a hot streak or a shooting slump right now?
I'd say overall streak, but I have a funny story to go with it. So I had my buddy Marcus's wedding this past Sunday. So it is Saturday morning. It's 4 a.m. And we are, me and my girlfriend are getting ready to leave for the airport. And she, grade 2 ankle sprain, leaving the apartment.
No way.
Yeah.
What happened?
I feel horrible, but there is a light switch near our front door, which turns off the light in the entryway room. Unbeknownst to me, this light switch affects the entire apartment. It's actually a kill switch for the whole apartment, so that when you're leaving, you can turn off every light without having to go room by room, which is really cool, but I didn't know that. So I turned it off while she was walking down the stairs upstairs, and then she fell down the stairs.
So it was your fault.
So it was sort of my fault, but yeah, so that was brutal to deal with. We land in Phoenix, actually. Layover.
Okay.
Layover,
Beautiful Sky
layover.
Harbor Airport.
Yeah, Sky Harbor. They have kind of like a cool airport logo thing going on. I was like, that could be a cool Trailblazers inspired Phoenix Suns city jersey one day.
They do. I know exactly what you're talking
Then the flight to Jersey, instantly go to urgent care, and the guy's like, well, we can't rule out that it's a fracture, but I don't think so, so you don't need to go to the ER. And then went to the wedding. Obviously, wedding was a lot of fun, really great. Then went to ER again to get the x-ray done, and then, or not ER, the urgent care again to get the x-ray. And we went to New York, which is a city that is not friendly to injuries because it's a walking city.
No, one of the worst American cities you could rock to with a grade 2 ankle sprain.
Yeah, but I mean, a great time. Weddings are always so much fun. I love weddings. And then we're home, having some friends from the East Coast over actually this week as they are exploring LA, doing a little work trip themselves. And yeah, it was fun to talk basketball. I kind of like these free-flowing pods where we don't even have a plan. We're just talking ball.
Yeah, I feel like we've potted long enough together, and this is really where the whole Foul Trouble was founded, of just us running into each other like at the kitchen at Jesse's and just talking about random basketball things for an hour. But yeah, no, I like it too. I am probably, I guess I'm on a shooting slump, like a minor shooting slump right now, just because, and all of my like corporate homies will understand, we are just so deep into Q4 right now that like everything is like, go, 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 finish everything before the year is done. And so that has been like my week. We shot 2 videos at the start of the week. Both were very, very fun videos that I won't spoil if you're a Jesser fan. But one of which I had half of my cast that I casted drop out within like 25 hours before the shoot started. So it's just been very like, I don't know. I'm building a sandcastle right in front of the ocean.
The waves, yeah.
And it just keeps wiping it out. And I'm just like trying to push the sand up. So it has been very much that vibe. But the hardest part is now past, and I am ready because tonight is our company Christmas party, and it's just the most needed company Christmas party I've ever had. I'm very excited for it, and it's not even in like Camarillo.
How do you handle your stress levels, Patrick, when something like that happens? Are you like okay, immediately I'm just gonna go into finding new people? Do you have like the 5-minute walk? What is your routine?
I am a pacer. I immediately have to figure it out. I know. This Sunday, I went to like this German Christmas market in like by my parents' place with my fiance and my parents and my like 93-year-old grandfather. And just as I like got to my parents' house before we went to this Christmas market, I find out that like one of the people for the video shooting the next day dropped out. So instantly I'm like, I have my like external phone charger plugged into my phone, and I'm just like buried in my phone trying to like text and call any person that I can think of that can help me solve this problem. But then we get to this Christmas market, and there's like 1 million people there, and my grandpa just got this new mobility scooter, which like he's 93, so he's doing his best, but he's just kind of following us around the whole time while I'm trying to figure this out. And then we walk into like the indoor Christmas market area, and it's really cool because it's like there's just Christmas stuff all over the place. There's all these treats and all these little places that you can look at and get into, but it is like the least wheelchair accessible place of all time. And my grandpa is just like slamming into every single Christmas tree as he's trying to follow like me and my fiance where we're going. We're like, why are you following us? And he's like crushing children and ramming into elderly people, and he can't see either. It was like a 12 out of 12 on the stress on the stressed meter out of 10. But the great thing about stress, James, is that eventually it will go away, and it did. And I had a nice, what's it called? I had a bratwurst that was delicious at this Christmas market, and yeah, I mean, when Q4, it's also Christmas time, so you gotta balance it all out in some way.
Oh, that's great. Well, I guess we'll catch you all next week.
Yeah, we'll have our third ever in-season tournament champion. Is anyone gonna beat the Thunder before we talk next?
I kind of think the Spurs are.
Hell yeah, that would be awesome.
Wemby coming back.
Wemby coming back. You know, Chet is now the betting favorite for Depoy.
Really? You know, I will say, I don't want to over-index on one regular season game I watched, but watching that Thunder Mavs game, Thunder versus Mavs game a couple days ago, and dude, the Mavs are just huge, and the Spurs are not this big, but like, I think teams like Dallas and Houston can give OKC issues when they're just clobbering them on the boards over and over
I
again.
agree. And you have enough ball handlers to where, like, if they trap one or they're harassing one, like, someone else can reliably handle the ball until they're free again or make something happen.
Yeah, I almost want to see, like, San Antonio try, like, a Cornet Wemby lineup and just see what happens. Especially if Hartenstein is going to be back, though?
I'm not sure.
I think he might be. We'll see. But either way, I mean, it'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. That is all from us this week. Remember to like this video, subscribe, tell your friends, and have a great time. Peace out.
Peace.